Okay, so today let's dive into the Byzantine Empire
Okay.
and how this often overlooked civilization played a big role in shaping our world.
Right.
We're not just talking about mosaics and impressive beards here.
No, no.
We're talking about them being masters of knowledge preservation.
Absolutely.
Think about it. Much of what we know about ancient Greece and Rome, even early Christianity, might be lost
Yeah, it might have been lost.
without them.
Yeah, without them.
So you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The Byzantine Empire was like a bridge between that ancient world and the one we're in now.
It really was a bridge between those two worlds.
But what drove this passion for knowledge?
Oh.
What can we learn from their dedication, especially now in our own time?
Well, one key aspect was their robust education system. It wasn't just rote learning in monasteries.
Okay.
They had a structured system, almost like a ladder,
Okay.
with different levels of education for everyone.
Right.
From basic literacy to advanced studies and specialized schools. And these schools were in their capital.
Right, Constantinople.
Constantinople, that's right.
So they understood that to have a strong and thriving society,
Yeah,
you needed a well-educated populace.
absolutely.
It sounds familiar, right?
Yeah,
It's like they laid the groundwork for our modern education systems today.
absolutely. They recognize that an informed citizenry is essential for progress.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, so they valued education.
They did.
But what about all those ancient texts?
Yes.
That could have been lost forever.
Yeah.
I mean, how did they manage to save all the works of Plato and Aristotle and Homer?
Well, it was a multi-pronged effort.
Really?
A real testament to their commitment.
Okay.
Byzantine scholars meticulously copied these texts by hand.
By hand.
By hand.
Ugh.
And monasteries became really vital centers for this work,
Okay.
with monks painstakingly transcribing these manuscripts.
Oh,
And they weren't just preserving the texts, they were actually translating them into other languages,
really?
widening their reach, making them more accessible to a broader audience.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like they understood that knowledge shouldn't be locked away in a single language or culture.
Yeah,
Makes you think about the importance of translation and accessibility today,
it does.
especially with, all the information online.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Byzantines were pioneers in recognizing that knowledge is a really powerful tool
Okay.
for bridging cultural divides
Right.
and fostering understanding.
It's so important.
Yeah.
They understood that translation is key to making knowledge
Yeah.
a unifying force.
A unifying force for sure.
Speaking of knowledge hubs,
Yes.
I'm curious about those legendary Byzantine libraries.
Yes.
I mean, what were they like?
Well, imagine the Imperial Library of Constantinople.
I'm trying.
It housed this vast collection of manuscripts and texts,
Wow.
attracting scholars from across the known world.
It's amazing.
But it wasn't just a repository of books.
Okay.
It was a bustling center of intellectual exchange. Scholars were debating there,
Wow.
collaborating,
Okay.
pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
So they recognized that libraries weren't just about preserving the past,
No,
but about shaping the future.
they were absolutely about shaping the future.
Wow. And the fact that they rebuilt this library multiple times,
Yes.
even after it was destroyed,
Yeah,
really speaks volumes about their dedication.
it really does.
It's like they understood that libraries are essential
They are.
for thriving intellectual life, and that's a lesson that resonates today.
Absolutely it does.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
They understood that knowledge is fragile,
It is.
requires constant care and attention
Right.
to ensure its survival.
Yes.
And it wasn't just about these grand libraries.
No, it wasn't.
Monasteries and religious institutions played a role too.
Absolutely.
They had their own libraries.
They did.
And monks dedicated to copying and preserving texts,
Right.
especially during times of conflict.
Yes.
So it's like a decentralized network
Yeah.
of knowledge preservation, a collaborative effort between secular and religious spheres.
Absolutely. It was a joint effort.
So we have these images of monks hunched over scrolls,
Yeah.
but it wasn't just about rote copying
No.
or blind faith.
No.
It was about laying the groundwork for future advancements.
Yes.
What were they doing with all this preserved knowledge?
Well,
How were they engaging with it?
Byzantine monasteries became vibrant centers of learning.
Okay.
Monks weren't just copying.
Right.
They were studying scripture, philosophy,
Okay.
and even science.
Wow.
They weren't afraid to engage with the material, interpret it, and sometimes even challenge it.
Really?
There was this dynamic interplay between faith and reason, which is a valuable lesson for us today.
It is. It
Yeah.
reminds us that knowledge isn't static.
Yeah.
It's meant to be explored,
Yeah.
debated,
Yes.
built upon.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating how the Byzantines managed to synthesize
Yeah.
faith and reason
Yes.
in their approach to knowledge.
Yeah.
It's a concept we grapple with even today.
You do.
And that's precisely what allowed them to preserve and transmit knowledge
Yeah.
for over 1,000 years.
For over 1,000 years, it was an ongoing process,
Okay.
testament to their dedication and foresight.
It's pretty incredible.
It is.
They recognize the power of knowledge,
Yes, it is.
not just for themselves, but for future generations.
For everybody.
Right. It makes you wonder, how did all that knowledge, so meticulously preserved, influence the world beyond the Byzantine Empire?
That's where we get to one of the most thrilling connections.
Okay.
The fall of Constantinople
Okay.
and the rise of the Renaissance.
Wait, are you suggesting that the end of the Byzantine Empire actually helped spark the Renaissance?
Exactly.
Wow.
When Constantinople fell to the Ottomans in 1453, many Byzantine scholars fled to Western Europe,
Okay.
carrying with them a wealth of classical texts and knowledge that had been largely forgotten in the West.
So it's almost like they were carrying the seeds of a new era, a cultural and intellectual rebirth.
That's a great way to put it.
Wow.
This influx of Byzantine knowledge,
Okay.
these works of ancient Greek and Roman philosophers,
Right.
mathematicians and scientists ignited a renewed interest in classical learning
Wow.
and sparked a period of incredible intellectual and cultural flourishing.
Yeah.
The Renaissance wouldn't have been the same without the Byzantines.
Wow. It's incredible to think that the collapse of one civilization could lead to the rebirth of another.
Yeah.
The ripple effects of their dedication to knowledge are still felt today.
They really are.
Absolutely. And it underscores the importance of knowledge sharing
Yes.
and cultural exchange.
It does.
The Byzantines weren't hoarding knowledge.
Yeah.
They were actively disseminating it.
They were.
And that act had a profound impact on the course of history.
It really did.
Okay, so we've talked about education libraries.
Yeah.
And the Byzantine influence on the Renaissance.
Yes.
But what about the individuals themselves?
Okay.
I mean, what was their attitude towards learning?
Well, Byzantine culture really emphasized lifelong learning.
Okay.
It wasn't just something you did in school. It
Okay.
was an ongoing pursuit of knowledge
Right.
and personal growth.
So it wasn't about getting a degree and calling it a day.
No, not at all.
It was about cultivating
yeah.
a curious and inquisitive mind,
Absolutely.
always seeking to learn and grow.
Yes,
That's a powerful concept, especially in our own fast-paced world,
it is.
where information can feel disposable.
Yeah.
They understood that in a world of constant change,
Yeah.
the ability to learn and adapt is essential
Right.
for survival,
Yeah.
both on a personal and societal level.
Yes.
Their commitment to lifelong learning
Yeah.
is a valuable lesson for us today.
It really is.
Makes you think about how we approach education in our own lives.
It does.
Are we embracing lifelong learning,
Yeah.
or are we becoming complacent?
Good question.
Are we actively engaging with knowledge
Yeah.
and using it to shape our world?
That's what we should be doing.
These are important questions to consider.
They are.
The Byzantine Empire's legacy reminds us that learning shouldn't stop at graduation.
Right.
It's a journey that continues throughout our lives,
It is a journey.
enriching us as individuals
Yes.
and empowering us to contribute to a better world.
Absolutely.
Speaking of a better world,
Yes.
we can't talk about the Byzantines without acknowledging their commitment to preserving their cultural heritage.
You're right. We
It
can't.
was intertwined
It was.
with their passion for knowledge, wasn't it?
It really was.
They understood that knowledge is key to building a strong and resilient society.
They did.
Preserving their cultural heritage was about more than just honoring the past.
Yes, it was.
It was about using that knowledge to shape their present and their future.
Absolutely.
So it was about more than just preserving the past for its own sake.
Yes.
They saw it as a foundation for progress and innovation.
Precisely.
The Byzantines saw knowledge as a source of strength,
Yeah.
identity,
Right.
and continuity.
Yes.
They knew that by preserving the knowledge and wisdom of previous generations, they could learn from their mistakes,
Right.
build upon their achievements,
Yes.
and create a more prosperous and stable
If
society.
they could do all of that.
It's fascinating how their dedication to preserving their cultural heritage helped them withstand centuries of political and social upheaval.
It is fascinating.
Absolutely. Their knowledge of history, law, philosophy, and the arts helped them navigate complex challenges,
Yes.
maintain their unique cultural identity,
Yeah.
and ultimately leave an indelible mark on the world.
They left their mark.
They understood that a society without a strong sense of its own history and culture is vulnerable and adrift.
Absolutely.
That's a powerful insight.
It is.
It makes you think about the importance of cultural heritage in our own world.
Yes, it does.
Especially in a time of rapid globalization.
Especially now.
You're right.
Yeah.
The Byzantine Empire's legacy reminds us that it's more important than ever to understand and appreciate our own cultural heritage. It's what grounds us, connects us to our past.
Yes.
Gives us a sense of purpose and belonging.
For sure.
And it's not just about preserving the past.
No.
It's about using that knowledge to inform our present and shape our future.
Exactly.
The Byzantine Empire's legacy reminds us that knowledge is not static.
Right.
It's a living, breathing entity that evolves over time.
It does.
We have a responsibility to learn from the past,
Yes.
build upon it,
Yeah.
and pass it on to future generations.
That's our responsibility.
Okay, so we've talked about how the Byzantines valued education,
Yeah.
preserved knowledge,
Right.
translated texts,
Yes.
and protected their cultural heritage.
Uh-huh.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to explore before we move on,
Okay.
and that is their approach to learning across different disciplines.
All right.
Did they see connections between different fields of study?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The Byzantines had a remarkably interdisciplinary approach to education. They didn't believe in separating knowledge into rigid categories.
Okay.
Instead, they encouraged students to explore the connections between different fields of study.
So it wasn't just about specializing in one narrow area of expertise.
No.
It was about understanding how different areas of knowledge
Yeah.
could inform and enrich each other.
Exactly.
They recognized that the world is complex and interconnected.
Right.
To truly understand it, you need to draw upon knowledge from different disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were ahead of their time
They were.
in promoting a holistic approach to learning.
They were ahead of their time in many ways.
It's like they were early proponents of a liberal arts education, right?
Yes.
The idea that a broad and well-rounded education
Right.
is essential for developing critical thinking skills,
Right.
problem-solving abilities,
Huh.
and a deeper understanding of the world.
Exactly.
And their interdisciplinary approach
Yeah.
wasn't just theoretical.
No.
It had practical applications
Yeah.
in areas like law, medicine, and even theology.
That's right.
Can you give us an example of how this played out in the real world?
Well, consider Byzantine law.
Okay.
It wasn't just a collection of rules and regulations.
Yeah.
It was deeply informed by philosophy,
Really?
history,
Okay.
and even theology.
Wow.
Byzantine lawyers weren't just expected to know the law.
Oh.
They were expected to understand its historical context,
Right.
its ethical implications,
Hmm.
and its place within the broader social and cultural fabric of the empire.
Wow. It's like they understood that law isn't just about applying rules blindly.
No, it's not.
It's about understanding the human context,
Yeah.
the underlying principles,
Right.
and the potential consequences of our actions.
Absolutely.
And this interdisciplinary approach wasn't limited to law.
No, it wasn't.
It permeated their entire intellectual culture.
It did.
Byzantine physicians were expected to have a solid understanding of philosophy
Yes.
and natural sciences.
Mhm.
Theologians drew upon history, philosophy,
Oh.
and even literature to support their arguments.
Absolutely.
It's remarkable how far ahead they were in recognizing the value of an interdisciplinary approach to knowledge.
It really is.
It's a lesson that's still incredibly relevant today,
It is.
especially in a world that's increasingly complex and specialized.
Especially now.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
The Byzantine Empire's legacy reminds us that we shouldn't limit ourselves to narrow fields of study.
Right.
By embracing an interdisciplinary mindset, we can develop a more holistic understanding of the world,
Yes.
foster innovation, and find creative solutions to the challenges we face.
Absolutely.
So far, we've focused on the Byzantine Empire's incredible legacy of knowledge preservation
Yeah.
and their forward-thinking approach to education.
Right.
But there's one more area I want to explore before we move on.
Okay.
The challenge of preserving knowledge in our own digital age.
All right.
It's a topic that the Byzantines couldn't have imagined,
They couldn't have.
but their experiences offer some surprisingly relevant insights.
They do.
That's a fascinating point.
Yeah.
The Byzantines faced their own challenges in preserving knowledge.
They did.
Wars, fires, political upheaval.
All that.
But we're facing a new frontier of preservation
Yes, we are.
in the digital age.
Yes.
The sheer volume of information, the rapid pace of technological change,
Right.
the vulnerability of digital data
Yes.
present us with a unique set of challenges.
Absolutely.
It's almost overwhelming to think about.
It is.
We're creating and consuming information at an unprecedented rate.
We are.
But how do we ensure that this knowledge is preserved for future generations? How do we prevent it from being lost to the digital void.
The Byzantine experience reminds us that knowledge preservation
Yes.
is an ongoing process.
Okay.
It's a continuous effort
Okay.
that requires foresight,
Okay.
planning, and collaboration.
So it's not just about hitting save or backing up our hard drives.
No, it's not.
We need to think about long-term digital archiving,
Yes, we do.
about developing sustainable systems for preserving and accessing digital information.
Absolutely.
We need to address issues of data security,
Right.
data integrity,
Uh-huh.
and data obsolescence.
Yes.
It's like we need to become the digital librarians of our age,
Yeah.
ensuring that the vast wealth of knowledge we're creating today
Yes.
is accessible and understandable to future generations.
That's a great way to put it.
And it's not just about technical solutions.
Yeah.
We also need to cultivate a culture of digital literacy,
Right.
a shared understanding of the importance of preserving and sharing knowledge
Absolutely.
in the digital realm.
Yes.
So what can we learn from the Byzantines about preserving knowledge in the digital age?
Well, they remind us that preserving knowledge is not a passive act.
Okay.
It requires active engagement,
Right.
a commitment to safeguarding information, and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances.
So we need to be flexible
Yes.
and adaptable.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about preserving the past. It's about ensuring that the knowledge we create today can be used to inform and empower future generations.
Precisely.
The Byzantine Empire's legacy reminds us that knowledge is a powerful tool
It is.
for progress, innovation, and cultural resilience.
Absolutely.
It's a gift
It is a gift.
that we have a responsibility to preserve and share with the world.
We do.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive,
Yeah, we have.
exploring the Byzantine Empire's remarkable legacy of knowledge
Yes.
and education,
Yeah.
from their structured education system to their dedication to translation
Yes.
and their emphasis on lifelong learning.
Absolutely.
The Byzantines offer us valuable lessons about the importance of knowledge as a foundation for a thriving and resilient society.
They do.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Their story reminds us that knowledge is not just a collection of facts.
No.
It's a living force that shapes our understanding of the world,
Yes.
empowers us to solve problems,
Right.
and connects us across time and cultures.
It does.
But before we wrap up this part of our discussion,
Okay.
I want to touch on one more point that we haven't discussed yet.
Sorry.
And that's the idea of knowledge as a form of cultural resilience.
Okay.
It's a crucial aspect of the Byzantine legacy.
It is.
They understood that knowledge is not just about personal enrichment
Right.
or intellectual curiosity.
No.
It's about building a strong and resilient society,
Yes.
a society capable of weathering storms and emerging stronger on the other side.
That's right.
So it's about more than just preserving the past.
Yes, it is.
It's about using that knowledge to navigate the present and build a better future.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Hmm.
The Byzantines faced numerous challenges throughout their history.
They did.
Wars, invasions, political instability, religious conflicts.
All of that.
But their deep understanding of their own history, culture, and traditions helped them navigate these challenges,
It did.
maintain their unique identity,
Right.
and ultimately leave a lasting mark on the world.
They left a mark.
They understood that knowledge is a form of armor,
Yes.
a shield that can protect a society from fragmentation and collapse.
That's a powerful image.
And it highlights an important point.
Okay.
In a world that's increasingly volatile and uncertain, knowledge is more important than ever.
It is.
It's what allows us to understand complex issues,
right.
make informed decisions,
Yes.
and build a more just and equitable world.
Absolutely.
The Byzantine Empire's legacy reminds us that knowledge is not a luxury.
No.
It's a necessity.
It is.
It's the foundation upon which we build our societies, our cultures,
Yeah.
and our very identities.
It's the foundation for all of that.
And it's a responsibility that falls on all of us
It does.
to seek knowledge,
Yes.
to share knowledge,
Uh-huh.
and to ensure that the knowledge we create today is passed on to future generations.
That's our responsibility.
So as we pause here
Okay.
in our exploration of Byzantine knowledge,
Yes.
let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons we've learned so far. What are some of the key takeaways that we can apply to our own lives and our own world?
Well, I think the most important lesson is that knowledge is a powerful force for good.
Okay.
It's what allows us to understand the world around us,
Okay.
to solve problems,
Right.
to build bridges between cultures,
Right.
and to create a more just and equitable society.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about acquiring knowledge.
No.
It's about sharing knowledge,
Yes.
preserving knowledge,
Yes.
and using knowledge to make a positive impact on the world.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Byzantine Empire's legacy reminds us that knowledge is not a static entity.
Right.
It's a living, breathing force that evolves over time.
It does.
We have a responsibility to learn from the past,
We do.
to build upon the knowledge we've inherited,
Yeah.
and to pass it on to future generations.
That's our responsibility.
So as we continue this deep dive into the world of Byzantine knowledge,
Okay.
let's remember these lessons. Let's embrace the power of knowledge, commit to lifelong learning, and work together to build a world where knowledge is cherished, shared, and used to create a brighter future for all.
That's a great goal.
I think so too.
Picking up where we left off, let's delve a bit deeper into how the Byzantines viewed knowledge as this cornerstone of resilience.
Okay.
They didn't just passively preserve information,
Right.
they actively used it
Okay.
to navigate the complexities of their world.
It is intriguing how they faced, this constant barrage of challenges,
Yeah.
wars,
Mm.
political upheavals, you name it, and yet they held their own for over a millennium.
They did.
Could their approach to knowledge have played a role in that resilience?
Absolutely.
Really?
The Byzantines were masters of adaptation, constantly integrating new ideas and technologies.
Okay.
Their legal system, for example, wasn't static.
Okay.
It evolved over time, incorporating influences from Roman law, Greek philosophy, and Christian principles.
Wow.
This flexible and adaptable approach helped them maintain stability amidst changing circumstances.
So it wasn't just about clinging to the past.
Yeah.
They were selective,
There were
taking what worked and evolving with the times.
precisely.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
They understood that knowledge is not about blind adherence to tradition.
Right.
It's about understanding those underlying principles
Yes.
and applying them to new situations.
Absolutely.
Take their approach to diplomacy, for instance.
Okay.
They weren't afraid to learn from other cultures,
No.
like incorporating elements of Persian or Arab statecraft when it suited their needs.
Yeah, they were pragmatists in a way.
Wow. So it sounds like they were pragmatists,
Yeah.
using knowledge as a tool for survival,
Yes.
advancement.
Right.
What a valuable lesson for us today,
It is.
especially in a world that's changing faster than ever.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Their story highlights the importance of being adaptable,
Yeah.
constantly seeking new knowledge and applying it to the challenges we face.
Yes.
So being proactive
Yeah.
with knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what allowed them to maintain such a vibrant and evolving society for centuries.
Centuries.
It's fascinating how they blended practicality with a deep respect for the past.
They did.
They weren't just copying texts.
Right.
They were actively engaging with them,
Yes.
extracting lessons and applying them to their own time.
Absolutely.
They weren't looking at the past as a burden,
No.
but as a source of wisdom and guidance.
Right.
Like their legal codes.
Yes.
For example, they were heavily annotated with commentaries from earlier scholars.
They were.
So it created this rich dialogue across generations.
Yeah, it's like they viewed knowledge as a continuous conversation,
Wow.
a building process where each generation
Yeah,
adds its own layer of understanding.
that's a powerful concept.
It
It
is.
reminds us that we're not just inheritors of knowledge,
No.
but also contributors.
Right.
And we have a responsibility to build upon what we've received.
Yes.
Pass it on, enriched by our own experiences and insights.
Absolutely. The Byzantines understood that knowledge is a collective endeavor. It's a shared inheritance that we're entrusted to safeguard
Right.
and enrich for future generations.
And it's a responsibility
That is.
that transcends individual lifetimes
Yes.
and connects us to a larger purpose.
It does.
It makes you wonder, what knowledge are WE responsible for preserving?
Yeah.
Passing on, what lessons can we learn from the Byzantines to ensure that our own legacy is one of resilience and progress?
Those are profound questions.
They are.
And I think they lie at the heart of the Byzantine legacy.
Yeah.
Their story challenges us to think critically about the knowledge we value, the ways we preserve it, and the impact we want to have on the world.
It's a big challenge.
It is.
A call to action.
Okay.
A reminder that knowledge is not just a passive possession,
No,
but a powerful force for shaping our collective destiny.
it really is.
And as we move deeper into the digital age,
Yeah.
these questions become even more crucial.
They do.
How do we ensure that this vast amount of information we're generating today
Right.
is preserved and accessible
Yeah.
for future generations?
That's a challenge the Byzantines couldn't have foreseen, but their approach offers valuable insights.
Okay.
Remember, they faced their own preservation challenges, fires, wars, political turmoil,
Right, right.
yet they developed strategies to mitigate those risks,
Okay.
emphasizing redundancy, decentralization, and collaboration.
So it's not just about backing up our hard drives.
No, it's not.
We need a more comprehensive approach.
We do. We need to think about long-term digital archiving, about developing systems that are resilient
Okay.
to technological change and unforeseen disasters.
So thinking ahead.
Yeah, thinking ahead.
And we need to consider how we organize and categorize information so that it remains accessible,
Yes.
meaningful in the future.
Absolutely.
It's like we're building a digital library of Alexandria,
Yeah,
a repository of human knowledge for the digital age.
right.
What a daunting but exciting task.
It is a daunting task.
And it's a task that requires collaboration.
Absolutely it does.
We need historians,
Got it.
librarians, archivists, technologists, and everyday citizens to work together to ensure that the knowledge we create today is preserved and accessible for generations to come.
We need all hands on deck.
Yeah, so what can we learn from the Byzantines
Oh,
about fostering this collaborative spirit?
well, they faced their own share of conflicts and divisions, yet they managed to maintain a remarkably coherent cultural and intellectual tradition.
They did.
And one key factor was their emphasis on shared values.
Okay.
They understood that a common cultural and intellectual foundation was essential for unity and resilience.
They understood the need to come together.
Yes, they fostered a sense of shared history, shared traditions, and a shared commitment to knowledge,
Right.
even as they embraced diversity and intellectual debate.
It's interesting how they managed to balance unity and diversity.
Yeah.
They encouraged debate and critical thinking.
Yes.
Yet they also recognize the importance of a shared intellectual framework.
That's a crucial lesson for us today, especially in a world that's increasingly fragmented.
It is.
We need to find ways to foster dialogue and understanding across different perspectives,
Yeah.
while also recognizing the importance of shared values and a common purpose.
It's a delicate balance,
It is.
but it's essential if we want to build a future
Yeah,
where knowledge is a unifying force, not a source of division.
absolutely.
The Byzantines offer us a roadmap for navigating these complexities,
They do.
a reminder that knowledge is most powerful
Yes,
when it's shared, debated, and used to build a more just and equitable world.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
And it's a reminder that knowledge is not just about facts and figures.
No, it's not.
It's about understanding our place in the world, our connection to the past, and our responsibility to the future.
It's about all of that.
The Byzantines understood this profoundly,
They did.
and their legacy challenges us to embrace knowledge as a tool for building a more resilient, compassionate, and enlightened world.
I think that's a great way to sum it up.
Okay, so we've explored how the Byzantines viewed knowledge as a foundation for resilience,
Yeah,
adaptation, and progress.
right.
But let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about their approach to learning itself.
Right.
What made their educational system so effective?
Well, one key factor was their emphasis on a well-rounded education.
Okay.
They didn't just focus on specialized skills, they
Right.
believed in cultivating a broad range of intellectual abilities.
Okay.
Their curriculum included grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and music,
Wow.
what they called the liberal arts.
It sounds very similar to the classical education model
It does.
that's still influential today.
Yeah.
Why do they place such importance on these subjects?
Well, they believed that these disciplines train the mind, fostering critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and a love of learning.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and they saw these skills as essential for effective leadership, responsible citizenship, and personal fulfillment.
So they weren't just preparing students for specific careers. They were preparing them for life.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how they recognized the importance of a holistic approach to education long before modern theories of multiple intelligences and whole child learning.
They were ahead of their time.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they understood that education is not just about acquiring knowledge.
Okay.
It's about developing the whole person.
Right.
Fostering intellectual curiosity, ethical awareness, and a sense of purpose.
So it was about character development
Yes.
alongside intellectual rigor.
Exactly.
That's a valuable lesson for us today.
It is.
It makes you think about the purpose of education in our own time.
It does.
Are we adequately preparing students for the complexities of the 21st century?
Yeah. Are we giving them the tools they need?
Right. Are we fostering those critical thinking skills?
Yeah.
The adaptability and the ethical awareness they'll need to navigate a rapidly changing world.
Those are crucial questions to consider.
They are.
Yeah. The Byzantine model reminds us that education is not just about vocational training or economic advancement. It's about shaping responsible, informed, and engaged citizens
Okay.
who can contribute to a better future.
So building a better world
Yes,
through education.
absolutely.
It's a reminder that education is an investment,
It is.
not just in individuals,
Right.
but in the future of our society.
Absolutely. And as we grapple with the challenges of the digital age,
Yeah.
we need to ensure that our educational systems are equipping students with the skills and values they'll need to thrive in a world that's increasingly complex, interconnected, and unpredictable.
It's a big task.
It is a big task.
Right. We need to learn from the Byzantines.
Yeah.
Embrace a more holistic and adaptable approach to education.
Yes.
One that fosters critical thinking, creativity, collaboration,
Right.
and a lifelong love of learning.
Absolutely. Those are the skills that will empower future generations to navigate the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century.
Okay, so we've talked about the Byzantine emphasis on a well-rounded education.
We have.
But let's delve a little deeper into some of the specific disciplines they valued.
All right.
What can we learn from their approach to subjects like rhetoric and philosophy?
Well, rhetoric, the art of persuasion, was highly prized in Byzantine society.
Okay.
They understood that effective communication is essential for leadership diplomacy and social cohesion.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and they trained students to articulate their ideas clearly,
Right.
to construct persuasive arguments,
Oh.
and to engage in respectful debate.
Sounds like they were preparing students for a world
Yeah,
where communication skills are paramount.
absolutely.
In today's world, where information overload and social media dominate our discourse,
Right.
these skills seem more important than ever.
They are more important than ever.
The Byzantine emphasis on rhetoric reminds us that effective communication is not just about eloquence.
No, it's not.
It's about clarity, logic, and empathy.
Right. It's about understanding your audience,
Okay.
anticipating their needs,
Right.
and tailoring your message accordingly.
It's about connecting with people. And these are essential skills for navigating the complexities of the digital age,
They are.
where misinformation and polarization
Yeah.
can easily spread.
Yet they can.
So it's not just about speaking eloquently.
Yeah.
It's about speaking thoughtfully,
Yes.
responsibly.
Absolutely.
What about philosophy?
Okay.
What role did it play in their educational system?
Well, philosophy was seen as the cornerstone of intellectual inquiry.
Okay.
It provided a framework for understanding the world,
Okay.
for questioning assumptions,
Right.
and for exploring ethical dilemmas.
And they studied the works of ancient Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle,
They did.
not just as historical artifacts,
Right.
but as living texts
Yeah.
that could guide them in their own time.
Absolute.
So it wasn't just about memorizing philosophical theories.
No.
They were actively engaging with these ideas,
They were.
applying them to their own lives and society.
Exactly.
They saw philosophy as a practical tool for navigating life's complexities,
Yes.
for making ethical decisions,
Right.
and for contributing to a just and harmonious society.
Absolutely. They believed that by studying the great thinkers of the past,
Okay.
they could gain wisdom and insight to address the challenges of their own time.
It's fascinating how they integrated ancient wisdom into their own cultural and intellectual framework.
It is.
It challenges us to think about how we engage with the great ideas of the past,
Yeah.
how we can draw inspiration and guidance from them to address the challenges we face today.
Absolutely. You're right. The Byzantine approach to philosophy reminds us that the past is not just a collection of dusty artifacts.
Right?
It's a source of wisdom and insight that can illuminate our present and guide us toward a better future.
And we need to rediscover the value of engaging with the great thinkers of history, not just as academic exercises, but as sources of practical wisdom and ethical guidance.
I agree.
So as we reflect on the Byzantine approach to rhetoric and philosophy,
Okay.
what are some of the key lessons we can take away?
Well,
How can we apply these principles to our own lives, to the challenges we face in the 21st century?
first, we need to recognize the importance of effective communication, of articulating our ideas clearly, respectfully, and persuasively.
Yeah.
We need to develop our own rhetorical skills, not just for personal gain, but for building bridges of understanding and fostering constructive dialogue in our communities and in the wider world.
And it's not just about speaking eloquently, it's about listening carefully,
Yes.
considering different perspectives, and
Right.
engaging in respectful debate.
Exactly. Second, we need to rediscover the value of philosophy, of engaging with the great ideas of the past and applying them to the challenges of our own time.
I like that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to cultivate our own philosophical literacy, our ability to think critically, to question assumptions, and to grapple with ethical dilemmas.
So using the wisdom of the past to illuminate the present
Yes.
and guide us toward a better future.
Precisely, the Byzantine legacy reminds us that knowledge is not just a collection of facts. It's a living, breathing force that can shape our understanding of the world, guide our actions, and inspire us to create a more just, compassionate, and enlightened world.
As we delve deeper into the Byzantine world,
Okay.
let's explore another fascinating aspect of their approach to knowledge,
All right.
their embrace of interdisciplinary learning.
Yes.
They didn't view different fields of study as isolated silos, but rather as interconnected threads in a rich tapestry of knowledge.
That's right. They understood that the world is complex and multifaceted, and that tackling its challenges requires drawing upon insights from multiple perspectives.
Makes sense.
Yeah, their approach to education reflected this holistic worldview.
So it wasn't just about specializing in one narrow field.
No.
They encouraged students to explore the connections between different disciplines.
Absolutely. They believe that a well-rounded education should encompass a wide range of subjects, from the humanities to the sciences, from the theoretical to the practical.
Yeah, a very broad approach
Yes.
to learning.
They saw these different fields of study as complementary, each offering unique insights and perspectives that could enrich the others.
It sounds like they were pioneers, or what we now call interdisciplinary studies,
They were.
recognizing the value of cross-pollination between different fields of knowledge.
Precisely. They understood that innovation often arises at the intersection of disciplines where different ideas and approaches collide and spark new insights.
Right, those unexpected connections.
Exactly.
They encouraged students to think broadly,
Yes.
to connect the dots between seemingly disparate areas of knowledge,
Uh-huh.
and to synthesize new understandings from these connections.
Absolutely.
Can you give some examples of how this interdisciplinary approach played out in their education system and in their society?
Certainly consider their approach to medicine.
Okay.
Byzantine physicians were expected to be well-versed not just in anatomy and physiology, but also in philosophy, ethics, and even astrology.
Right.
They saw the human body as a microcosm of the universe, influenced by both natural and celestial forces.
It's a really interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, their medical practice reflected this holistic worldview, integrating practical treatments with philosophical and spiritual considerations.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
It challenges our modern tendency to compartmentalize knowledge,
It does.
to view science and the humanities as separate domains.
Yeah.
The Byzantines remind us that true understanding often requires bridging these divides.
You're right. They saw the world as a complex web of interconnected systems.
Okay.
And they believed that a holistic approach to knowledge was essential for understanding and navigating this complexity.
So how can we apply this Byzantine approach to interdisciplinary learning in our own time?
Wow.
How can we break down the silos between different fields of study and foster a more integrated approach to knowledge?
One key step is to encourage curiosity and exploration beyond the boundaries of our own specialized fields.
So stepping outside of our comfort zones.
Exactly. We need to cultivate a willingness to learn from others, to engage with different perspectives, and to see the connections between seemingly disparate areas of knowledge.
It's about fostering intellectual humility,
Yes.
recognizing that no one discipline has all the answers,
Right.
and that true understanding requires a willingness to embrace diverse perspectives.
Absolutely. We also need to encourage interdisciplinary collaborations.
Okay.
To create spaces where experts from different fields can come together, share their insights, and co-create new knowledge.
So bringing people together from different backgrounds and perspectives.
Exactly. Universities, research institutions, and even online platforms can play a vital role in fostering these collaborations.
So building those connections.
Yeah, it's about building bridges between different disciplines, recognizing that the most innovative solutions often arise from the cross-pollination of ideas.
Right, like we were saying before, those unexpected connections.
Exactly. The Byzantines were masters of this approach, and their legacy challenges us to embrace a more integrated and holistic approach to knowledge in the 21st century.
Okay, so we've explored how the Byzantines embraced interdisciplinary learning.
Yeah.
But let's turn our attention to their remarkable contributions to the preservation and transmission of knowledge.
Okay.
What strategies did they employ to ensure that the knowledge they valued would endure?
Well, one key strategy was their emphasis on redundancy.
Okay.
They understood that knowledge is fragile, vulnerable to loss through fire, war, or neglect.
Right. Things happen.
Yes, to mitigate this risk, they created multiple copies of important texts, dispersing them across different libraries, monasteries, and private collections.
Spreading around.
Yeah. This decentralized approach ensured that even if one repository was destroyed, the knowledge it contained would likely survive elsewhere.
So it's like they were creating a safety net for knowledge,
Yes.
ensuring that it wouldn't be lost to a single catastrophic event.
Exactly.
It's a remarkably prescient approach,
It is.
especially considering the challenges we face in the digital age,
Yeah.
with data loss and digital decay.
You're right. The Byzantine approach to redundancy offers valuable lessons for us today as we grapple with the challenges of preserving digital information.
We need to be thinking about this.
We do. We need to think beyond simply backing up our data to multiple hard drives or cloud storage services.
Okay.
We need to consider how we can diversify our preservation strategies, how we can create multiple pathways for accessing and preserving information in the long term.
So it's about thinking strategically,
Yeah.
about anticipating potential risks and developing robust systems to safeguard our digital heritage.
That's right.
Okay, what other strategies did the Byzantines employ to ensure the long-term preservation of knowledge?
Well, another key strategy was their focus on quality control.
Okay.
They recognized that simply copying texts wasn't enough.
Right. It had to be done right.
Yes, they needed to ensure that the copies were accurate, complete, and legible.
So attention to detail.
Yes. To achieve this, they developed sophisticated systems for training scribes, for verifying the accuracy of copies, and for preserving the physical integrity of manuscripts.
It sounds like they understood the importance of attention to detail, of meticulous craftsmanship in the preservation of knowledge.
Absolutely. They saw the act of copying as a sacred trust, a responsibility to future generations to preserve the integrity and accuracy of the knowledge they were entrusted with.
Wow.
Yeah, their meticulous approach to quality control is a valuable lesson for us today as we navigate the complexities of digital preservation.
It's a good reminder.
It is.
So it's not just about digitizing everything.
Yeah.
There's about ensuring the accuracy,
Yeah.
the completeness, and the integrity
Right.
of the digital information we create and preserve.
Absolutely.
We need to develop standards and protocols for digital preservation,
We do.
just as the Byzantines did for their manuscript tradition.
Exactly. We need to think carefully about how we organize, categorize, and metadata tag digital information so that it remains accessible and meaningful in the long term.
So the future generations can understand it.
Yes, we need to consider the challenges of data obsolescence, of ensuring that future generations will be able to access and understand the information we create today.
Right, because technology changes so quickly.
It does.
It's like we're building a digital time capsule,
Yeah.
and we need to make sure that the contents will be legible and comprehensible
Right.
to those who open it in the future.
Absolutely.
What other strategies can we learn from the Byzantines in this regard?
Well, one final strategy I'd highlight is their emphasis on community engagement.
Okay.
They understood that knowledge preservation is not just the responsibility of a select few scholars or institutions.
Okay.
It's a collective endeavor that
Yes.
requires the participation of the wider community.
So getting everyone involved?
Yes, they encouraged private individuals to collect and preserve books, and they fostered a culture of literacy and intellectual curiosity that extended beyond the walls of monasteries and universities.
So it wasn't just about elite scholars hoarding knowledge.
No, not at all.
They recognized the importance of democratizing access to knowledge and empowering individuals to participate in its preservation.
Exactly. They understood that a vibrant intellectual culture requires the active participation of the wider community.
And that's a really important point.
It is.
This lesson is particularly relevant today as we grapple with the challenges of digital preservation.
Yes, it is.
We need to find ways to engage the public in this endeavor to foster a sense of shared responsibility for preserving our digital heritage.
We need to promote digital literacy about empowering individuals to understand the importance of digital preservation and to participate in safeguarding our collective knowledge.
Just giving people the tools and the knowledge to participate.
Exactly. We need to create opportunities for citizens to contribute to digital archiving projects, to share their own stories and experiences, and to help ensure that the digital record of our time is comprehensive and representative of the diverse voices and perspectives that shape our world.
It's about building a collective memory.
Yeah.
A shared digital heritage that reflects the richness and complexity of our time.
Absolutely. The Byzantines remind us that knowledge preservation is not just a technical challenge.
Oh.
It's a social and cultural imperative that requires the active participation of the entire community.
You're right. By embracing these lessons from the Byzantine world,
Yes.
by combining technological innovation with social engagement, we can ensure that the knowledge we create today will endure, informing and inspiring future generations.
I agree.
Okay, so we've explored the Byzantine strategies for preserving knowledge, but let's delve a little deeper into their approach to translation.
Okay.
They weren't content to simply preserve knowledge in its original language.
No.
They actively sought to translate it into other languages, making it accessible to a wider audience.
They did?
What can we learn from their approach to translation in the digital age?
Well, the Byzantine Empire was a melting pot of languages and cultures.
It was.
And they recognized that knowledge should not be confined to a single linguistic domain.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they actively translated works from Greek, Latin, Syriac, Arabic, and other languages, ensuring that the knowledge they valued could circulate widely and cross cultural boundaries.
Wow, so they saw translation as a key tool
They did.
for knowledge dissemination and cultural exchange.
Absolutely. They understood that language barriers can impede the flow of knowledge,
Right.
and they actively sought to overcome these barriers through translation.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Their approach offers valuable lessons for us today as we navigate the increasingly multilingual and multicultural landscape of the digital world.
It does.
With the rise of machine translation and online translation tools, it seems like language barriers are becoming less of an obstacle.
Right.
But are there still lessons to be learned from the Byzantine approach?
Absolutely. While technology has made translation more accessible,
Okay.
it hasn't eliminated the need for human expertise and cultural sensitivity in the translation process.
So we still need that human touch.
We do. The Byzantines understood that translation is not just about transferring words from one language to another.
Right.
It's about conveying meaning, nuance, and cultural context.
It's more than just words.
It
It's
is.
about understanding
Yeah.
the ideas.
They recognize that effective translation requires a deep understanding of both the source and target languages,
Okay.
as well as the cultural contexts in which they are embedded.
So you need to understand both cultures,
You do.
not just the languages.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about linguistic accuracy.
No.
It's about cultural sensitivity
Yes.
and the ability to bridge different ways of thinking and expressing ideas.
That's right. And this is where human expertise remains crucial.
Okay.
Machine translation can be a useful tool for basic translations,
Okay.
but it often struggles with complex texts,
Right.
with idiomatic expressions, and with conveying the subtle nuances of meaning that are essential for accurate and effective communication.
So we can't just rely on machines. So what can we learn from the Byzantine approach to translation in the digital age?
Whoa.
How can we ensure that knowledge continues to flow freely across languages and cultures in an increasingly interconnected world?
First, we need to recognize the importance of investing in human translation expertise.
Okay.
We need to support the training and development of skilled translators
Right.
who can bridge linguistic and cultural divides.
And we need to ensure that translation is adequately funded and valued,
Yes, we do.
not seen as an afterthought or a luxury,
No.
but as an essential component of knowledge dissemination and intercultural understanding.
Exactly. Second, we need to promote collaboration between translators, subject matter experts, and cultural mediators
Okay.
to ensure that translations are accurate, nuanced, and culturally sensitive.
So it's a team effort.
It is. We need to create spaces where these different perspectives can come together and co-create translations that effectively bridge linguistic and cultural divides.
It's about recognizing that translation is a complex and multifaceted process. That requires a team effort,
Yes.
not just a lone individual working in isolation.
Absolutely. And finally, we need to embrace technology as a tool for enhancing and facilitating translation, not as a replacement for human expertise.
So finding that balance.
Yes, machine translation can be a valuable tool for streamlining certain aspects of the translation process.
Okay.
But it should always be used in conjunction with human oversight and expertise.
So it's about finding the right balance between human and machine,
Yeah,
recognizing that each has its strengths and limitations.
exactly. By learning from the Byzantine approach to translation, by combining human expertise with technological innovation, we can ensure that knowledge continues to flow freely across linguistic and cultural boundaries, enriching our understanding of the world and fostering greater interconnectedness and collaboration in the digital age.
So bringing the world together through knowledge
Yep.
and translation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've explored the Byzantine approach to translation.
We have.
But let's shift our focus to another crucial aspect of their knowledge ecosystem:
Okay.
They're libraries.
All right.
We've already touched on the Imperial Library of Constantinople.
Yeah.
But what about other libraries in the Byzantine world?
Well,
What role did they play in the preservation and dissemination of knowledge?
libraries were ubiquitous in the Byzantine world,
Okay.
found not just in major cities like Constantinople,
Okay.
but also in smaller towns,
Wow.
monasteries, and even private homes. They
Whoa.
varied in size and scope, but they all shared a common purpose to preserve and make accessible the knowledge that the Byzantines valued.
So libraries weren't just elite institutions reserved for scholars.
No, they weren't.
They were integral parts of the social and intellectual fabric of Byzantine society.
Libraries served as community centers, places where people could gather to read, to learn, to discuss ideas, and to connect with others who shared their intellectual interests.
So they brought people together.
They did. They were vibrant hubs of intellectual activity, playing a vital role in fostering literacy, promoting education, and disseminating knowledge throughout Byzantine society.
It's fascinating how they viewed libraries as spaces for community engagement and intellectual exchange, not just as repositories of books.
You're right. They understood that libraries were not just about preserving the past.
Okay.
They were about shaping the future.
Wow.
They saw libraries as incubators of innovation, as places where new ideas could be generated, debated, and disseminated.
That's a really interesting way to think about libraries.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder of the importance of libraries in fostering a vibrant intellectual culture.
It is.
What types of libraries existed in the Byzantine world, and how did they differ in their functions and collections?
Byzantine libraries can be broadly categorized into three types: imperial libraries, monastic libraries, and private libraries.
Okay, let's start with imperial libraries. We've already discussed the Imperial Library of Constantinople, but were there other imperial libraries in the Byzantine Empire?
Yes, there were several other imperial libraries, though none rivaled the scale and scope of the one in Constantinople.
Of course.
These libraries were typically housed in imperial palaces or other government buildings,
Okay.
and served primarily as repositories of official documents, legal texts, and historical records.
So basically archives of state power and knowledge.
Precisely, they played a vital role in preserving the institutional memory of the Byzantine state, ensuring the continuity of government, and providing a resource for legal and historical research.
What about monastic libraries? What role did they play in the Byzantine knowledge ecosystem?
Monastic libraries were perhaps the most numerous and diverse type of library in the Byzantine world.
Really?
They were found in monasteries large and small, and their collections reflected the diverse interests and activities of the monastic communities that created them.
So they weren't just repositories of religious texts.
Not at all. While monastic libraries certainly contain a wealth of theological works, they also housed a wide range of other materials,
Okay, like what?
including classical literature, scientific treatises, historical chronicles, and even works of fiction.
So it sounds like monastic libraries played a crucial role in preserving and transmitting both religious and secular knowledge.
Absolutely. Monasteries were centers of learning and scholarship, and their libraries served as essential resources for the monks who lived and studied there. They also played a vital role in educating the wider community, as many monasteries operated schools and welcomed visitors who wished to consult their collections.
So it's interesting how monasteries served as both centers of spiritual retreat and hubs of intellectual activity.
Yeah, it's a fascinating duality.
What about private libraries? What can we learn about the intellectual culture of the Byzantine elite from their personal collections?
Private libraries, as their name suggests, were collections of books and manuscripts owned by individuals. They varied widely in size and scope, reflecting the wealth interests and social standing of their owners.
So some were modest collections, while others were vast repositories rivaling the holdings of institutional libraries.
Exactly. Some private libraries were little more than a few shelves of books, while others contained hundreds or even thousands of volumes. The contents of private libraries also varied widely, reflecting the diverse interests of their owners.
Okay.
Some focused on specific subjects, such as law, medicine, or theology, while others were more eclectic, encompassing a wide range of topics.
So these private libraries offer a fascinating window into the intellectual lives of the Byzantine elite.
They do.
What can we learn from these collections about their reading habits, their intellectual pursuits, and their values?
Private libraries provide valuable insights into the intellectual culture of the Byzantine elite. They reveal a deep appreciation for knowledge, a thirst for learning, and a commitment to preserving and transmitting the cultural heritage they valued.
It's remarkable how this passion for knowledge extended beyond the walls of monasteries and universities, permeating even the private lives of the Byzantine elite.
Absolutely. The prevalence of private libraries suggests that literacy and intellectual pursuits were not just confined to a small scholarly elite, but were valued and cultivated throughout Byzantine society.
So as we reflect on this diverse landscape of Byzantine libraries, what are some of the key lessons we can draw about the importance of libraries in fostering a vibrant intellectual culture?
Well, first, libraries are essential for preserving and transmitting knowledge.
Yeah.
They serve as repositories of our collective memory, safeguarding the intellectual and cultural heritage that shapes our understanding of the world.
Right, and it's not just about preserving the past libraries, also play a vital role in shaping the future
Yes, they do.
by providing access to the knowledge and resources that people need to learn to grow and to create.
Exactly. Second, libraries are more than just repositories of books. They're community centers, spaces for intellectual exchange and incubators of innovation. They foster literacy, promote education, and connect people with ideas and with each other.
And it seems like in the digital age, libraries are evolving to meet the changing needs of their communities.
Yeah, they are.
Providing access to digital resources, offering online learning opportunities, and facilitating connections between people and information in new and innovative ways.
You're right. Libraries are vital institutions, essential for fostering a thriving intellectual culture and a vibrant democracy. The Byzantine legacy reminds us of the enduring importance of libraries and challenges us to support and invest in these institutions as they continue to evolve and adapt to the challenges and opportunities of the digital age.
As we continue our exploration of the Byzantine world, let's turn our attention to their monasteries. We've already touched on the role of monasteries in preserving and transmitting knowledge.
Right.
But let's delve a little deeper into their unique contributions to Byzantine intellectual culture.
Okay, monasteries were more than just centers of religious devotion. They were also vibrant hubs of intellectual activity, playing a crucial role in shaping Byzantine thought and culture.
Mm.
They served as centers of scholarship, as schools for training future generations of clergy and intellectuals, and as repositories of knowledge that helped to preserve and transmit the cultural heritage of the Byzantine world.
So they were almost like universities combining spiritual practice with intellectual inquiry.
That's a great analogy. Monasteries offered a unique blend of spiritual discipline and intellectual rigor, fostering an environment where contemplation and study could flourish side by side.
What factors contributed to this vibrant intellectual culture within Byzantine monasteries?
Well, several factors were at play. First, monasteries provided a stable and supportive environment for intellectual pursuits.
Okay.
Monks were freed from the distractions of secular life, allowing them to devote themselves to study, prayer, and contemplation.
So it was almost like an academic retreat, a space where they could focus on their intellectual pursuits without the pressures of everyday life.
Exactly. Second, monasteries attracted individuals with a thirst for knowledge and a passion for learning. Many monks were highly educated, having received a classical education. Before entering the monastic life, they brought with them a wealth of knowledge and a desire to continue their studies within the supportive environment of the monastery.
It's fascinating how monasteries served as magnets for intellectual talent, drawing in some of the brightest minds of the Byzantine world.
You're right. Third, monasteries fostered a culture of collaboration and intellectual exchange.
Okay.
Monks worked together to copy and preserve manuscripts, to translate texts, to study and debate theological and philosophical issues, and to share their knowledge with others.
So it was a collaborative environment where ideas could be freely shared and debated.
Precisely, the monastic tradition of communal living and shared purpose created an ideal environment for intellectual ferment and the cross-pollination of
It
ideas.
sounds like the perfect incubator for intellectual innovation. What specific disciplines were monks particularly interested in, and what contributions did they make to these fields of study?
Byzantine monks made significant contributions to a wide range of disciplines, including theology, philosophy, history, literature, and science.
Let's start with theology.
Yeah.
What were some of the key theological debates that preoccupied Byzantine monks?
Okay.
And how did their contributions shape the development of Christian thought?
Byzantine monks were deeply engaged in theological debates that had far-reaching implications for the development of Christian doctrine.
Yeah.
They grappled with issues such as the nature of Christ, the role of the Holy Spirit, the relationship between faith and reason, and the interpretation of Scripture. Their contributions to these debates helped to shape the theological landscape of the Eastern Church and continue to influence Christian thought to this day.
It's remarkable how these monastic communities, often situated in remote locations, were at the forefront of theological thought shaping the course of Christian history.
Absolutely. Their dedication to theological inquiry, their meticulous study of Scripture, and their willingness to engage in rigorous debate made them key players in the development of Christian doctrine.
What about philosophy? How did Byzantine monks engage with the philosophical traditions of ancient Greece and Rome?
Okay.
And what contributions did they make to this field of study?
Byzantine monks were deeply familiar with the works of ancient Greek philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, and Plotinus.
Okay.
They saw these philosophical traditions as compatible with Christian theology and sought to integrate them into a coherent worldview.
So they didn't reject ancient philosophy as pagans.
No, they didn't.
They saw it as a valuable resource for understanding the world and for deepening their own faith.
Exactly. They believed that all truth, whether revealed through Scripture or discovered through reason, ultimately comes from God. They saw no contradiction between embracing the wisdom of ancient philosophers and upholding the tenets of Christian faith.
It's a remarkably open-minded and integrative approach to knowledge,
It is.
one that challenges our modern tendency to view faith and reason as mutually exclusive.
You're right. The Byzantine approach reminds us that the search for truth can encompass multiple perspectives, and that seemingly disparate fields of study can often enrich and illuminate one another.
What about history? What contributions did Byzantine monks make to our understanding of the past?
Well, Byzantine monks were meticulous chroniclers of their own time and dedicated students of history. They wrote detailed accounts of political events, religious controversies, social customs, and everyday life in the Byzantine world. Their chronicles provide invaluable insights into the political, social, and cultural history of the Byzantine Empire, offering a rich and nuanced perspective on a civilization that played a pivotal role in shaping the course of Western history.
So they weren't just writing dry, factual accounts. They were weaving together narratives that captured the complexities and nuances of their time.
Exactly. They understood that history is more than just a collection of facts and dates. It's a story that needs to be told with insight, sensitivity, and an appreciation for the human drama that unfolds within the larger sweep of historical events.
What about literature? What were the literary interests and contributions of Byzantine monks?
Byzantine monks were prolific writers, producing a wide range of literary works, including poetry hymns, sermons, hagiographies, lives of saints, and philosophical treatises they wrote in a variety of styles, from the ornate and rhetorical to the simple and devotional, the Kes and the Bude. Their literary works provide a rich tapestry of Byzantine culture, reflecting their religious beliefs, their philosophical ideas, their historical consciousness, and their understanding of the human condition.
It's amazing how they managed to blend religious devotion with a deep appreciation for language and storytelling. Their writings offer a window into the heart and soul of Byzantine culture.
You're absolutely right. Their literary contributions were vast and varied, reflecting the richness and complexity of their intellectual world.
And we can't forget their contributions to science. What were some of the areas of scientific inquiry that Byzantine monks pursued?
Okay.
And how did their work advance our understanding of the natural world?
While Byzantine science wasn't as groundbreaking as some of their other intellectual pursuits, they still made valuable contributions.
Okay.
They preserved and transmitted ancient Greek scientific texts, conducted observations of natural phenomena, and explored practical applications of scientific knowledge in areas such as medicine, agriculture, and engineering.
So they were building upon the scientific legacy of the ancient world while also making their own contributions to our understanding of the natural world.
Exactly. They saw no contradiction between studying the natural world and upholding their religious beliefs. They believed that God's creation was worthy of careful observation and study, and that scientific inquiry could enhance our understanding of God's design.
It's a perspective that challenges the often perceived divide between science and religion.
You're right. The Byzantine approach reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge, whether through scientific inquiry or religious faith, can be a pathway to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
As we reflect on the remarkable intellectual contributions of Byzantine monasteries, what are some of the key lessons we can draw for our own time?
Well, first, monasteries remind us that a supportive and stable environment is essential for intellectual flourishing. They created spaces where contemplation, study, and collaboration could thrive.
It highlights the importance of creating spaces in our own lives and communities that foster intellectual curiosity, where we can engage in deep thinking and meaningful conversations.
Precisely, second, monasteries demonstrate the power of a shared purpose in driving intellectual inquiry, their communal life, and shared commitment to spiritual growth created a fertile ground for intellectual exploration and collaboration.
It's a reminder that we can achieve more when we work together, when we share our ideas and support each other's intellectual pursuits.
Exactly. And finally, monasteries remind us that intellectual inquiry can be deeply enriching, both personally and collectively. The monks' pursuit of knowledge wasn't just about accumulating facts, it was about seeking wisdom, understanding, and meaning.
It was about connecting with something larger than themselves, about contributing to a shared intellectual legacy that would endure for generations to come.
You've captured it perfectly. The Byzantine monasteries offer a powerful testament to the enduring human thirst for knowledge and the transformative power of intellectual pursuits.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Byzantine knowledge and education, it is clear that their legacy is rich with lessons for us today.
Absolutely. It's a legacy that continues to inspire and challenge us.
From their structured education system to their dedication to preserving and translating texts, from their vibrant libraries to their intellectually stimulating monasteries, the Byzantines offer us a blueprint for cultivating a thriving intellectual culture.
They understood the importance of knowledge as a foundation for a vibrant and resilient society.
They understood that knowledge is not just a collection of facts, but a living force that shapes our understanding of the world, guides our actions, and empowers us to create a better future.
They remind us that knowledge is most powerful when it's shared, debated, and used to build a more just compassionate and enlightened world.
So as we navigate the complexities of our own time, let's draw inspiration from the Byzantine legacy. Let's embrace lifelong learning, invest in education, support our libraries, and foster a culture of intellectual curiosity and collaboration.
Let's remember that knowledge is a gift that we have a responsibility to cherish, to nurture, and to pass on to future generations.
If the Byzantines, amidst so much turmoil and change, could dedicate themselves to the pursuit and preservation of knowledge, surely we can too. They challenge us to view knowledge not as a luxury, but as a necessity, a foundation for a more resilient, informed, and enlightened society.
And they remind us that the pursuit of knowledge is not just an individual endeavor. It's a collective responsibility, a shared inheritance that we're entrusted to safeguard and enrich for generations to come.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through time and knowledge. We hope you've been inspired by the Byzantine legacy and that you'll carry these lessons with you as you continue your own explorations of the vast and ever-evolving world of ideas. Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep sharing the knowledge that makes our world a brighter place.